I just took a Forex account from $9,800 deposit to $75,000 in under a week by shorting the US stock market. The big question is, where is that now and where is it going? How big is this trade gonna get, or how small is it gonna get? Let's look into it. Big news, folks. We are giving away $100 in XRP. All you gotta do to enter for a chance to win is hit that subscribe button and make a comment below, and we're gonna choose the best comment in the following video and announce the winner, and we will immediately send you $100 in XRP. In addition, guys, do not get scammed. Below, there's gonna be a bunch of scammers asking for your WhatsApp or handing out their WhatsApp. We will never contact you. We will never message you anything ever. No special offers. We don't do that. The only way to contact any of my team is to go to iknkfx.com. That is it. Otherwise, everything else is a scam. All right, guys, today's winner for the comment is The Journey of Siege. He said, thanks for the logical perspective on the market. Excited for the Decrypton drop. He is the winner because thinking logically and rationally is something that is so rare in the crypto market. So I love to see someone that appreciates a logical and rational approach to trading rather than only focusing on hopium. You just won $100 in XRP. All right, guys, let's take a look at how I had almost a 700% gain on my Forex account in just under a week, which is absolutely insane to go from a $9,800 deposit to $75,000 in the account. Now, it's actually much lower than that now. I've given a lot back, and you can see the equity in the account is $43,000. The balance is $36,000, and I have a bunch of new open trades. But let's take a look at see why this all started in the first place, right? I don't trade the stock market necessarily anymore. I still have my old company, Iconic Traders, and I was in the stock market for 17 years. It's now managed by other people over in America. I obviously live in Bali. Stock market opens at 9:30 to 10:30 p.m. out here. I don't want to work that late. For now, what I have been doing, what I got exposure to is the US30 and the US 100 was basically the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ 100 by way of using a Forex account and trading CFDs. Is it called a CFD or just an index? I don't fucking know. I don't know the technicals behind this. Realistically, I hadn't looked at the Dow Jones Industrial Index or what the stock market has been doing in probably the last year or two. But I went and looked and I was like, holy shit, things are absolutely parabolic when we look at the market, okay? We look at the Dow Jones weekly chart. This is absolutely insanity, okay? Look at this thing. This thing is ripped up from the low of coronavirus to a high of 35,700 or 500 over here. And what goes up most definitely comes down every time. Look at the market. Look at these charts, guys. This is just absolute madness. This is parabolic. And we know with 100% certainty that a parabolic move explodes in your face every freaking time, okay? And so I started looking at all these charts. And then an interesting thing that I saw was Robert Kiyosaki, the guy who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. He also wrote on Twitter on September 26th that said stock market crash coming in October. Why? Treasury and Fed short of T-bills, gold, silver, and Bitcoin may crash too. Cash is best for picking up bargains after the crash, but I'm not selling gold, silver, or Bitcoin. You have lots of cash for life after the stock market crash. Stocks are dangerous. Be careful. We all know that stock market crashes are not unusual. Anytime you see this euphoric spike up, which we call parabolic, it crashes 100% of the time. The matter is just, when is that gonna happen? And so I started tweeting about this as well, right? And I just said on September 23rd, which was actually prior to the Robert Kiyosaki market crash tweet, I said, just looking at the stock market indices for the first time in I don't know how long, but implosion pending 2021, 2022. Okay, because we just look at this chart and I was like, holy shit, this thing has gone straight up. We are about to eat shit and it's gonna happen in a big, big way. When it's gonna happen, I don't know. Maybe it's at 15,000 on NASDAQ 100, maybe it's at 20,000. We don't know when it's gonna happen, but all you can do is start identifying this and start protecting yourself and then potentially start placing bets on it as well, but always have stops in place, because what if your top prediction is not right? What if the top prediction is 2,000 points away from now? Okay, if you get heavily short, you can definitely get squeezed and then stop out of your position and potentially blow up your account. So it's important to always be managing the risk along the way, because when you're shorting, it's the most difficult and the most risky strategy because there's infinite loss potential, right? If you buy the NASDAQ 100 at 15,000, the only way to lose your entire account is for it to go to zero, which is basically physically impossible. You might lose 10, 20%, which would be massive, which is probably not gonna happen. But if you go short heavily, especially on leverage, you can blow your account up in a very, very big way. You have to use stop losses when you are shorting. Otherwise, you are going to get screwed every time. Another thing is, while shorting is not easy, we know that it's gonna happen 100% of the time. Picking the top, not easy. So you might pick the top at 12,000. You might pick it up 15,000 might pay it at 16,000 and stop out 3 times in a row before you're actually right. You might be wrong 5 times before you're actually right. But it's important that you don't get wrong on the first one and bet heavy, and all of a sudden by the time it's up to where it's actually the top, you blew up your entire account and you never even get a chance. So you have to be using stop losses along the way. So let's just take a look at what is happening again. Now, also I said on September 27th, I said, will you start building your short position on US 100 stock market? Okay, because I started building my short position on US 100 and the US 30. And then everything proceeded to eat shit in a big way. Let's just take a look at what happened on the US 100. One of the big things that I was looking at here is the 50-day moving average breakdown and the 13 EMA through 9 and 20 EMA cross here that happened, broke down, came back up, retested this zone here, and that's where I started getting short and took advantage of this nice big spike to the downside. And now, typically once we break the 50 and the 13 through 9 and 20 EMAs, we start retesting those levels because we build a new trend. As you can see, it's not perfect, but a lot of times we ride these trends on the 13, 9, and 20 EMA. That's what we're looking at here. And then when we see the breakdown, we start seeing a new trend formed and start riding that trend to the downside. So right now, we're basically retesting all these zones on the NASDAQ, not only on the physical resistance of the NASDAQ, we're also riding the trends to the downside. We're now retesting, which will probably potentially see another leg down on the NASDAQ 100. I'm mostly short the US 30 right now, which was absolutely crazy. Like I said, I was up $75,000. We'll pop up a screenshot of that showing when it was at the peak, but that was also when the US 30 was down here. I was like, holy shit. And it was bouncing off the 200-day moving average. Now that's a significant level of support, but also if this 200-day moving average on the US 30 breaks down, things are gonna get crazy. Things are gonna start to absolutely eat shit. But when I got short up here on the NASDAQ or US 30, sorry, I keep mixing these things up. I got short on the retest up here. We had that shooting star candle, then I started building my short, and then we had 2-3 days of just nasty sell-offs, okay? And once we were down here, I basically said, when I was back at about $75,000 in the account, I said, hey guys, I'm locking in $49,000 profit on this from my $9,800 deposit. I don't know what's gonna happen here, but I need to get out of this position just in case things bounce big. And what did it do? It bounced massively, basically up to my entry price again. So it's very important that you're locking in profits along the way because I would be back to break even on this or potentially losing money if I never locked in profits on this big spike to the downside. There's massive volatility. So I locked in, about 60 to 70% of my profits down here. And now I lost about $10,000 trying to pick the top right here. I'm now back in short again up in this range. We'll look up the MetaTrader platform over here. You can see all my entries, right? I did get short right around here when I was retesting the 13 and 20 EMAs. Then we saw this massive spike out. I stopped out for about $10,000 in losses. And then I started rebuilding my short position as I was back into that previous range, which is a massive resistance and supply zone here on the US 30. And now I'm hoping that we see a retest of this level and then we see another pullback down to over here. You can see my take profit levels along the way back on support. And I do have partial open for big move if we break down the 200-day moving average, but I also want to take profits along the way because we never know what's going to happen. The markets are crazy. And especially when you're going short, there's a lot of volatility. And when things start dropping big, things also bounce big. So it's easy to get stopped out if you don't place your stops and you don't make your entries good, right? When we're breaking down on things, you want to short when things are spiking. You never want to short when things are breaking down because that's when you all of a sudden think, oh wait, this is when everything's going to break down. Nope, wrong. Okay, so you never short on breakdowns. You always want to build a thesis like, okay, I think the market's bearish now. Don't short on breakdowns, wait for spikes and then short into spikes. That way you have a much better ability to manage the risk of the trade as opposed to trying to short breakdowns, which almost never work. Look what happens every time this thing is a breakdown, massive spike. Breakdown, nope, massive spike. Breakdown, nope, massive breakdown, nope, massive spike. Okay, that's why I'm re-short here, back in that massive spike into these previous levels of resistance and supply, looking for another downside move. Is that gonna happen? I don't know. What if there's some kind of news about the government bailout, they raise the debt ceiling, all this bullshit, right? The market and the government doesn't want it to crash, okay? So they're gonna do everything they can in their power to try to stop that from happening. But eventually, bubbles always pop, the market always pops, panic and fear set in, people start selling, and things absolutely eat shit. So if we do break down these levels on the US 30, right? 33,000 to 33.6 to 33.8. These are massive levels where there is gonna be support, But if these levels break down, as well as break down the 200-day moving average at 33.5, you know, we could see a 15 to 30% drop in the Dow Jones US30. That would be absolutely nasty. And I really, really hope that I have a piece short still open and don't get stopped out of my positions when that happens, right? You can also look at the US 500. You can see this now trending to the downside over here in this new channel that's forming up. So for here, hopefully we don't break out to the upside of the channel, which would potentially mean a continuation for the bulls. And I hope that doesn't happen. What I'm hoping to happen is we see a massive dump here and a continuation, retest these new lows of the channel, potentially come down and retest the 200-day moving average on the US 500, which is about 5%, right? So if things do pull over about 35,000, I might stop out on the US30. I'll probably lose another $10,000, $15,000 and then end up with about 30,000 in my account. And that's still not bad. 200% return going from $9,800 to $30,000. Obviously it was at $75,000, which was great. But, you know, if it does stop me out, I'll probably end up with about 30K. If it does come back and retest about 30, the 200-day moving average and these levels, I'll end up with probably about 100,000 to 150,000 in my account, which would be like a 12 to 1500x or percent return on the account, which would be about 10 to 12x actually. So that would be significant. And right now we're in a prime opportunity where this is an area where it would be great to reshort, but there's also the possibility for it to break out over highs due to the fact that I didn't get short down here like an idiot trying to short the breakdown. My shorts are up here. So I have a lot better risk reward on this trade for it to potentially now bounce off this supply and resistance zone and then retest these levels, potentially retest the 200 and then break down. And from that point, we could see a massive dump in the Dow, you know, potentially all the way back down to 30K, which would be about 13%. That would be the ideal situation. We come all the way back down to 30K on the Dow 30. Anyways, guys, I'll be tracking what's going on with this trade and keep you updated if I get stopped out or we bounce off these levels and see a massive dump. It is currently Sunday in Bali here. I believe the futures open at Sunday, 6 p.m. in America, Eastern time. So we'll see what happens with futures as we roll forward. I'll keep you updated in the next video as this trade plays out, but it could be interesting. It's crazy. 9,800 to 75,000 in a week, and now back to 43. But what if this gets over six figures? 9,800 to six figures in a couple weeks. We'll see what happens. Could be crazy. See you in the next one. Boom.